welcome back to Formula 4 Average. Today we have to discuss Monaco Grand Prix, and this was the Grand Prix that FIA either tried to fix it or did they break it. So let's discuss that. Of course, the weekend started with the qualifying and not much actually to say, except that maybe the qualifying, as usual for the Monaco, was the most interesting part. Because the race, well, it was what it was. But talking about the qualifying, of course, we have to highlight Norris, and his performance was just great. I can't say anything against it. It seemed that Leclerc took the pole, but then Norris swept it away and took the pole actually. So by 100ths of a second, and well deserved. What can I say? Hats off to Norris, and he took a fair fight to Leclerc, who actually looked the favorite throughout the practice sessions, and he looked dominant as he usually does in Monaco. But this time the superior car, and in this particular case superior driver, took the P1, very well deserved. Congrats to Norris. And actually, as typically as it is for the Monaco Grand Prix, the race was won on Saturday, even though there were attempts to spice up the race, I guess, or whatever, to fix the race, to fix the racing, but it just proved that it's not possible. But still, talking about the qualifying, one thing that of course has to be said, that actually the whole weekend was a disaster for Mercedes. No points in the race, awful qualifying. They were just purely slow. They were slower than, well, you can argue in the qualifying whether they're slow or not, because Antonelli crashed and Russell had an issue with the car. Nevertheless, awful weekend for them. Ultimately, they came after Williams and after Racing Bull, of course, after Red Bull, after McLaren, and after Ferrari. So ultimately, they are the 6th or 7th even fastest team this weekend, which is just awful for them, of course. But it was what it was, and I think this is the weekend that Mercedes want to forget about. What else from the qualifying? Well, Hamilton got a penalty, although I must say Hamilton had a decent qualifying session. Qualified P4, got a 3 grid place, penalty for impeding Verstappen. But other than that, I think he had a decent weekend. Not what he wanted, maybe, but overall, I think looking where Ferrari was before, I think he had a decent weekend in my opinion. So that's about that, I guess, about the qualifying. Not much to say there. So let's just jump to the race. And the race. So yeah, I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it, because overall, I think the overall consensus is that the mandatory two pit stop approach, or mandatory 2 pit stops, which the FIA made the rule for this particular race, I think it did not work, and I think in some cases it even broke the race. And you can clearly, I think the 2 best examples about that was Racing Bulls and Williams. Look, if we look from the team perspective, you can justify whatever they did, and fair play to them. They played according to the rules, and nothing you can cannot blame them for doing that, because ultimately by getting points in the constructors, this is what gets you the prize money, so you do everything you can in order to score points. Fair enough. However, this situation when the one car is sort of backing up the others behind them and stacking them up so that the first car could take a, let's say, free pit stop, ultimately breaking the others, is just awful from racing perspective. And this is what happened. And this was the fear actually already before the race, that there might be teams who are doing that. So if they are in the position where they can do it, so one driver is backing up the rest, and so that the first driver could take a free pit stop, it was the fear, and it came true. And it created multiple bad situations. First of all, from racing perspective, if we look at pure racing, let's forget about the team strategies for a moment, but pure racing, there wasn't. Because if you are deliberately slowing down the cars behind you, that's not racing. That's it. It's not racing. That's a team strategy, yes, but it's not racing. And the other thing is that it creates dangerous situations, because there are multiple drivers, I think it was Russell and probably someone else, complained that the cars in front of them who are sort of doing the braking, they are braking early, they are sort of driving basically dangerous. Because they are driving too slow, they are becoming a danger to the cars following them. And I think this goes also not just against the racing, it goes against the sort of FIA improved safety targets and goals and whatever. So by creating this kind of artificial chance for the teams to slow down the other cars, they create this ultimate unsafe sort of situation and moment. And I think this is the second awful thing. So racing is ruined, plus it creates safety issues. And those two things do not justify sort of the attempt to spice things up. Because let's face it, Norris started first, finished first. Leclerc started second, finished second. Piastri started third, finished third. So none of those things mattered during the race. Like those, wherever you qualified, this is where you finished. Yes, there are some other teams who gained some positions. For example, Williams gained overall, like basically Albon gained one position, Sainz gained one position, so they gained those positions. But actually they gained those positions just because Alonso DNF'd. But the other guys, Hamilton, Verstappen, they switched places during the pit stops. But again, those things might happen also without this mandatory pit stop regulation, whatever it's called. And in my opinion, I haven't heard what other drivers are saying. The only thing I heard was Albon and Sainz in those post-race interviews, and Albon admitted himself that this is not how we want to race, but this was the team strategy to collect the points. And as I said, fair play to them. It's not against the rules, but the rules were created in a way that the teams are able to start to do these things, and I think that's wrong. So it was an attempt to fix the Monaco, but I would say that's not the way to go. They need to, if they want to spice things up in the Monaco, I don't know, they need to figure out something else, because this mandatory 2 pit stop thing did not work, in my opinion. And I think there will be many who agree with me, and even drivers themselves, they agree with with me, not with me, but I agree with them basically. So because ultimately this is not how to fix Monaco, and I'm not sure if fixing Monaco is the solution here, because Monaco is Monaco. It's the ultimate Saturday race. This is how it has basically always been, and especially now with these bigger cars, wider cars, you have to accept the fact that the overtaking is almost impossible, and that's it. Basically, it's a qualifying race, and it's a focus race. So you can't lose your focus, you have to be sharp, you have to not make mistakes, and this is how you win Monaco, but not by doing overtakes. Yes, it's not great from racing perspective, but 2 mandatory pit stops do not fix the racing. And if they want to fix the racing, I don't know. They need to make the cars smaller, or make the track wider, or I don't know, whatever, something. Or accept the fact, this is Monaco, this is how it is. It's Saturday, you win the race basically on Saturday, and you don't make mistakes on Sunday, and this is how you win in Monaco. That's it. Accept the fact. And stop whining and stop trying to figure out something. I understand for the faster cars who qualify bad, it's a frustrating race. I get it. And from viewers' perspective, as myself, like when I watch the race, of course I want to see the overtakes, of course I want to see the fights on the track. But if for historical reasons, for the glamour, for whatever the Monaco represents, if this race is still kept on the calendar, then we have to accept the fact that this is how the Monaco will go, and I don't know, make the Saturday somehow more interesting, make the qualifying different. I don't know what I don't know. I believe there are more greater minds than myself, and those who are more into technicalities of the sport and everything, and there are huge teams who are figuring out how to do these things, how to make rules, what are the rules, and so on and so on. They can figure out something, but not this. 2 mandatory pit stops, it proved that it did not work. They tried, good for them. I'm all for trying new things. They tried, it didn't work. Learn from that mistake and don't do it again. That's it. Yes. Another thing, what ultimately is slowing down of the grid, or this 2 pit stop strategy, 2 pit stop strategy, what it created, I don't remember when have I ever seen a situation where there are one car, it was Antonelli, got lapped by 3 laps. I don't remember whenever I have seen such a, let's say, back markers overtaking. So he finished out because he took the pit stop very late, and that's why he basically statistically was lapped by 3 laps. But I don't remember when that has happened ever. But also all the cars starting from 9th position, so basically half of the grid, more than half of the grid, was lapped by 2 laps, and only the first 5 cars were not lapped. And even the number 5, who was ultimately Hamilton, he he was 51 seconds behind or something like that, so he was almost lapped, let's put it that way. 20 seconds, whatever. But because of this mess of the race, there were so many teams who got lapped, and so many drivers who got lapped, that at some point, even during the race, even the leaders, they were fighting through the field because they had to. As I said, in some cases even 2 laps. They overtook cars for twice basically. And at some point, it was from viewers' perspective. It was also hard to follow. Like there's 10 cars, and there are 3 cars among them who are overtaking, and blue flags flying and everything, and it's just a mess. And I imagine the person who is just like joined the, I don't know. Let's imagine that it was someone's first race to watch. It was a mess. I can't imagine that if you are watching the Formula One for the first time, how could you even try to figure out what's happening in this particular race? And those who are in Monaco watching the race live there, I don't know how they can even follow what's happening in the race. It was hard to follow on the TV with all the timings and everything. Sometimes you just get lost, like who is that, and is he now on this lap, or he's being lapped, or he's unlapping himself, or what's happening there. So yeah, also from that perspective, it created this kind of a messy situation. Of course, it's a, let's say, minor thing, but still, again, it is bad aftertaste and bad flavor of all of this mess, what happened because of this rule of 2 mandatory pit stops. And also, yeah, Verstappen, he stayed out very late with his second pit stop, waiting for possibly safety car. I guess that's what they were gambling on. So they took the second mandatory pit stop on the last lap of the race. There were even speculations that there might be drivers who will take in the first 2 laps, they will take the both pit stops and then go until the end. That didn't happen. There were like 1 or 2 drivers who took the pit stop very early in the first or second lap, but then nothing later. So ultimately that did not play out. This worry there wasn't there, but there were multiple drivers who waited until the basically very last moment. Verstappen and Antonelli being 2 of them, who waited until almost the end of the race to actually take the second mandatory pit stop. So again, playing with these things, waiting for something to happen. Again, not the best racing. So again, I don't have the answer how to fix the racing in Monaco, but as I said, this is not the way to do it. So I think that's a lot of ranting about the 2 pit stop strategy, but of course I have to come back to the winner of the race, which is Norris, and huge congratulations to him. He did his job on Saturday, he did his job on Sunday, and as he said himself in the post-race interview, that he has fulfilled his childhood dream. So very nice to hear that. Congrats to him again. And if we look at the championship now, then by this win and by Oscar having scored only 12 points compared to Norris's 25 points, so now Piastri is leading only by 3 points. 3 points in the championship, so that's not a lot. So again, basically they are even in points. 3 points, that's nothing in my opinion. And then later comes Verstappen, 22 points behind Norris. But yeah. So championship fight for drivers' championship is on, and it's still on, and it will be on because it's just a quarter of the season, and now we are going next to Spain, and I think that this track or this circuit will come back to normal, let's say normal racing in a way. And so that will be something, and we will see also, I think, the strength and the weaknesses of all different teams better here, because this is more regular track. And yeah, I believe that the McLaren will be the favorites there still. I'm not sure about probably Verstappen is still also, you can't count him out. So that's also something to look at. Not sure where Mercedes and Ferrari will stack up, but time will tell. But of course, looking at the constructors' results at the moment, or constructor championship at the moment, again, by McLaren scoring 40 points this weekend, they are just running away in the constructors, and yet again only one Red Bull is scoring points, and for Ferrari this was a decent weekend overall. And looking at the table now, Ferrari is on the brink to overtake Red Bull. There's only 1 point between them, and actually Mercedes, without scoring points this weekend, also now is on the back foot. They are only 4 points ahead of Red Bull, so basically second to fourth is 5 points difference. So the fight for the second, third is still on between those three teams. So that's pretty interesting. And also with Racing Bulls, with this kind of a strategy, again, you might like it, not like it, but it was a team strategy. They executed it very well, and they now are 7th team with 22 points. They jumped ahead of Aston Martin, because Aston Martin, actually Alonso was running in good points. What was it, 6th position or something, and then his mechanical or whatever failure of the car happened, so he DNF'd. But because of that, now Racing Bulls was able to jump to the 7th position. And Alpine did not score points, Kicksauber did not score points, and Mercedes did not score points in this race. So other than that, the Constructors' Championship still the same. So that's it from this weekend. Next weekend, last race of the European triple header in Spain, in Barcelona, Catalonia circuit. It's a very well-known circuit from a lot of previous years. A lot of winter testing was done there, not for the last 2 years, I believe, but before that, yes. So most of the drivers, except maybe some rookies, but most of the drivers know the track very well, and I believe rookies as well, because they have raced there in the junior categories. So very well-known track, a classical race track, and it will be totally different race from Monaco. That's my definite sort of notion or prediction. So they need to figure out something for Monaco, if they want to figure out something, or just live with it, accept it. It is what it is, and Monaco is won on Saturdays. Or if they figure out something, then they need to figure out something else, not 2 mandatory pit stops. That's the consensus of this weekend. So again, congratulations to Norris for winning the race. Congratulations to McLaren for still running away in the Constructors' Championship. And see you next week. Thank you. Bye-bye. Stay safe. That's it.